welcome. And thank you for taking the time to be here in this webinar today. And this welcome comes to you from the Coaches for You family. And as a lot of you are familiar, Coaches for You is a community of coaches from all parts of the country which has joined hands to support society at large during the challenging times of COVID. My name is Nandita Krishnan, your host for the session today. Today's speaker, some of you are familiar with her and you know her. And for some of us, we yet to know her, and her name is Priya Sharma Sheikh, and a leadership and a life transformation coach. Comes with a truckload of work experience, about 30 plus years, and I lost count after that, in a lot of Indian and international organizations, various industries like financial services, media, FMCG, education, and many, many more. She's here today talking about building presence in relationships, a big word and a very important topic called relationships. What this means and how it plays out in our lives is what Priya will be talking about today. I know that relationships are taking a whole different definition with the COVID happening. And I'm going to hand it over to Priya without further ado for her to talk about this and help us unravel this topic of building presence in relationships. So over to you, Priya, and we have all of the folks ready to listen to you.
Hello, everyone. This is Priya, and it's a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to sharing with all of you a few insights that I've gathered. I'm going to start by sharing a personal story, and I'm a storyteller by heart. And for me, if I can share something, some wisdom that I have learned through a story, I think nothing tells it better, because I'm hoping that you'll have complete presence listening to my story. This Jan, I was all set to begin my journey as a traveler. I had, plans to go to Malaysia. I had plans to go to the US, to Australia, to London, to Goa. There were all kinds of plans made. And the first plan to get knocked off after, some rumbles of the pandemic started happening was primarily when in the month of January. And that was a wedding that we were supposed to go to. One had made clothes for it. I was so excited, and, so very dear cousin. And we were so devastated because it was a destination wedding. And I said, oh no, it's got canceled. So we started with that. And then, I had plans to go to the US, spend time with my daughter there, attend a conference. And once that was done, then I was going to be joined by my son in Vancouver, Canada, and all kinds of plans were being made in terms of, he was going to study there, and the whole plan to, his fees, visa, tickets, everything was all set and in place. He was like so excited. The whole plan of when the farewell is going to happen was happening. All the plans were so, all the boxes were checked. We had nothing else to do but travel when it had to. And then suddenly, this whisper that was there in the, in the sideline suddenly started becoming louder and louder and louder and louder. And suddenly, COVID was something that we started listening to. One was firstly ignoring it, and it's rubbish. It'll just be go. It's one big thing. Aisa hota hai. It'll be fine. One was trying to ignore it, but I realized it was not beginning to get solved, and it's something becoming bigger and louder every day. And suddenly started feeling this sense of, discomfort. So what does this mean? What does this translate into? Oh, does this mean that I can't travel on the 19th of March? Yes, I think we should cancel tickets. Should we cancel now? Should we wait a little bit more? Maybe things will become better. So this is all, in my mind, talking, discussing, feedback from family, friends, everyone, like, no, cancel the tickets club. So much chatter, right? Just suddenly everything being changed. Then we get this mail, the conference is canceled. Then my daughter says that, Mama, maybe you shouldn't come. And, I was like so grieved. It was her 26th birthday, and she's born on the 26th of March. So she said, Mama, this is going to be my biggest and best birthday. And for that, I would love for you to be there. So I planned this whole thing for being there to celebrate this 26th on 26th. That was going to just like falling through literally, and In the middle of that, I said, all right, I'm sorry, but this is going to be, we have to cancel tickets because there's flights are not going to go. So we canceled that ticket. And my son, like I told you, was supposed to be joining me in Vancouver a little later. And because he was going to join me a little later, it was almost a month away. We said that, by that time it should be fine, and he was hopeful. He says, yeah, by that time it should be fine. Let's hold on to his ticket, Priya. We'll book your ticket to be with his at that time there. Let's hold on until then. And I think on the 23rd of March, if I'm not mistaken, lockdown was announced. Just the fact, the way it hit. What do you mean lockdown? This whole thing that, what do you mean lockdown? We can't leave, we can't get out. This whole thing of the fact that my son Ronak, my husband Farouk, and I were in the house and we cannot go nowhere. And we got some, but we need more. When will the doors open? This whole thing of getting used to this new animal that had suddenly become so big, was in our face, literally. And in the middle of all of this, obviously, the maid was not there. So we're doing chores. There's jobs that need to be done on the other front, on, whatever other coaching commitments I had. There was also some work that I was doing on developmental work that I needed to do. I'm trying to do a book. I'm trying to do that. In the middle of all of this, I'm like running around, like a headless chicken, trying to cope with this whole thing. And I noticed in the middle of all this that my son, Ronak, who I love so much, who is an absolute angel, and but did not notice him. I was so lost in my own frenzy of, trying to do things and trying to appear on top of stuff and, figured things out, that I didn't see him at all. And all I saw about him was that he was constantly gaming. He was constantly, talking to, being on his phone or, watching a movie or doing stuff like that. And I was like, hey, why don't you do some course? Why don't you start doing something productive with your time? Use this time. And I realized that these things that I was saying is not only me who's saying it, but family, people around, everyone was saying this, why don't you say something to your son? This concept of, it'll be lazy, wo aisa hi reh jayega, and alsi ho jayega, and it'll become something that's part of this thing. He won't be able to do anything when he has to go. We can't let him waste this time. And I'm like, yes, we can't let him waste this time. What are you doing? I'm like obsessively, wanting to get things right for him. And it was like, it was my idea of wanting him to do, what I think he should be doing. And when I started becoming so overly, obsessive about this, I sensed from Ronak that there was a withdrawal. There was this distance, which I've never felt in so many years of him being my son. And this distance was such that I sensed it, and I said, this distance came in the form of, maybe he would get up and walk the moment I entered the room, or, he would just like answer in monosyllables. And I'm saying, I'm talking to you, and he would not seem to understand. And I was wondering what to do. This is frustrating. I'm not able to solve this. And it was bothering me that I was not able to figure this and pin this cloud, shall I say, or this truant behavior. And one day, I think I said something and he just snapped and he just shut the door. He shut the door. I know him so well and so much, and I love him so much. The way he shut the door also, I knew that there was something seriously wrong here. And when that happened, it's almost as if like, you get signals from the world, there was this thought that came to me that, maybe is something that, am I doing something wrong in this? Is there something that's wrong by me, not him? I started thinking maybe being a coach, I thought of it that way. And, I was walking into the hall, into the living room, and I had a cup of tea in my hand, and my son walked past me, and it sort of, he didn't bump me, but because it was hot, I moved and some of the tea fell. And he says, "Oh, sorry, Mom." And he went and he brought a mop and he wiped it out. And I just looked at him, and I realized that here is this child. He's being as accommodating as possible in terms of doing the chores in the house. He's not sitting uh, he's not doing something productive as such, but he is around, and he is mindful, and he is sensitive to me as he was. But what am I being? Am I being present to what he's going through? I suddenly realized that all this I had made was about me and what's happening to me and what's going on in my life. And really speaking, it needed to be about him. He's the one who was most impacted. His dream was being shaken. He was supposed to be flying off, and that's not happening. It's not maybe happening in August also, and I don't know when it's happening. And now there's talks of another delay, perhaps maybe up to June, July. God alone knows. So I'd stopped thinking about him. I was thinking only of me. I was so focused on me. What are the problems in my head, my blocks? I'd stopped thinking about my little baby. And although he is 22 and plus, and he is still my baby, and I've never seen anybody more intelligent, creative, and of a good soul than my son. He is amazing. But I was not able to see that. For that time, I was absent for him. And to be honest to myself, I was perhaps absent to even myself. I was giving all the attention to everything that was outside of me, COVID, the lockdown, what did the Prime Minister say? What did that happen? Now what happened? How many deaths? Oh, let me do a petition. Let me do this. But the ones who are really close to me, my husband, my daughter, my son, how can I spend time with them and be present to them during this time? Because that is really, really, really the only thing that finally matters. None of the things that we have are we using. These clothes that I'm wearing today, I'm wearing it only because of this webinar. They've been sitting in my cupboard. But my son, he's around. Why am I not there for him? That was the big realization for me, that I need to be present for him. And the moment I realized this, it shows even in your body language. The moment I realized, it's the way you even talk to the person or even look at the person. And the moment I started sensing that openness in me, the openness in him was also reflected. And I realized that when I stopped saying that my ideas of what he should be or what he should be doing with his time were superseding his own ideas, I was doubting his abilities to think clearly. And I needed to speak to my baby. And so I did. And when I arrived, I didn't even actually need to say anything. He saw me and he knew that the way I even approached him, he knew that this was the mama, he knows. And obviously, first we hugged and wept. And then we spoke. And all is under control, and our relationship is back to being where it was. And that is really what matters. At the end of the day, all the people we love, if we are not present with them, if we are present with them with our construed ideas, with our fixations, with our set concepts and mindsets and stereotypes, we're not there for them. So sorry about the emotion, but this was important to say and share. I think you need to put the screen to me. What's visible on the screen? Can people see Nandita or me? I just want to check that.
I think you have the co-host access, so you will be able to share screen. Priya, that's your question.
Okay, fine. No, so Raj Ganesh says that they can see me. All right, great. Thank you. Okay. So coming back to the story and saying that, yes, I'm a mother who trusts my child. I brought up my kids to live with the consequence of the decisions that they make, the choices they make, and I should trust them. So do I trust him? I do. And so our relationship, like I said, is back to being the cutesy mama baby relationship that it was, that I love and so much cherish. Um, I'd like to start sharing something here with you guys. But before I go there, I want to ask you, has this happened in any of your lives in these past few months? Yes, yes, for sure. Yeah. Yes, Ashok, I know. Everyone's story is our story, my dear. Very true. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. Yes, this has been such a vulnerable time for every one of us. And although I shared the story of my son and me, but really speaking, this could be the case with any of our relationships, right? It could be with our colleagues, with our immediate, friends, with our parents, with our partner, whoever it could be with. As long as we are present to them, that's all they really need of us. Okay, so I'm going to share. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your pieces. Okay, great. So I'm going to share screen right now with what was, I think we asked all of you to share what you think the word presence means. And this is what some people said: the here and now, impact, resilience, stay fully there, and existence. Yeah. So let's just visit what the definition of presence is. Any other words that's coming up from you all, can you please put in the chat box? It would be lovely. I'm gonna, yeah, being there, and very right, Anu. Live in the moment, rootedness, absolutely. Just be there, mindfulness, not being elsewhere. Oh, Suresh, I know thank you for feeling that emotional presence. Open, that's right, Elsa. Be there without judgment, mirror, empty cup. Yes, that's right. Clean slate. Just continuing that piece when Ranak, walked past me and the tea fell, there's this philosophy that says that what is in the teacup is what falls, right? So in me, there was anger, there was this confusion, this disgust, this disbelief, this whole thing of, oh my God, how can this be happening? This whole denial, first the shock, then the denial. And then this whole acceptance that, all right, we've got to make this work. Something's got to be done. What does who do? How does this get done? Let's do this. Let's plan this. Let's buy that. Lists were made. All kinds of solutions were found, right? That's typically what happened. And similarly here in this. So in any relationship, whatever's inside of you gets reflected in the other person. So if you're joyous, कहते हैं कि when you laugh with so many, when you cry alone. And they say that, but I firmly believe that as long as you are, showing up in your true self, that's really something that what most people benefit from. So I'm going to take you to share screen. Presence. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Can you see my screen? Yes. Okay, so what is presence? The dictionary meaning for presence is the state or fact of existing, occurring, or the bearing, carriage, or air of a person, or simply how you show up, right? The fact is that there are different ways of interpreting presence, and we've had so many different, words that have come up in the chat box, which is phenomenal. Eckhart Tolle has an interesting he says connection to the energy source within yourself, the transcendent, the stillness, the light of consciousness, the only source of true satisfaction that lies within you. That when you are there completely, truly present, unconditionally loving whoever that person is you are connecting with. We come to this world beyond eating and breathing and drinking. We want to connect. And if we lack that connection, and especially with the ones whom we are wanting to love so much, or who we love so much, there is this turbulence and there's this loss of peace. There's this disconnection. And that's terrible, because somehow that connection is needed to have that flow. And how can we maintain that flow, right? So why is presence important? When you have presence, you build trust. So continuing my story with my son, because I was present to him, we had the conversation. And in that conversation, there was trust. He actually told me what he was feeling, what exactly his plans were, what he thinks he wants to do going ahead. And I just knew that there is nothing more that I need to worry about. I need to completely trust him just as much as he trusts now me. And because I trusted him, he shared with me. Before that, I was so lost in my own cloud. And so therefore, when you trust, that brings out intimacy. Moving further. So what are people usually seeing you as instead of being present? They see you as being distracted. I'm talking to you, but I'm looking somewhere else. I'm watching the TV while I'm talking to you. Or I'm emotionally absent. I'm not a person who is, as, connected with people. I want to, be separate. I don't want to be involved. I want to stay away. I want to escape. You're just not sensitive to what the need is. What am I feeling? So people see you as emotionally absent, or people see you as not connected, as, in your own zone, or just invisible. When you are, when they say that you are invisible, you may be there, but you're not really there for them, or you make them feel invisible. You take them for granted. It works both ways. So the fact remains that how do we appear is what is the key of finding presence is. Somebody needs to mute themselves, please. So how do we bring presence into our relationships? I wanted it to be conversational, but there was a suggestion that I should come up with some slides. So here are the slides. So being mindful when you show up, like even if I am talking, being mindful in the sense that making certain that that particular time when I was engaging in the conversation with Ronak, there was nothing else that was on my mind. That means I was there for him, talking to him, being aware of my whole self and them. That means, how is he? Is he receptive to me, willing to talk? Or how am I arriving? Am I, being to, sitting on an edge? Am I standing near the door and wanting to talk to him? Or am I just being comfortable sitting with him, sitting up, looking into his eyes, having a literally like almost, like a relaxation of my muscles, smile on my face, and be willing to listen, have the courage to listen to him, because he is perhaps going to say something that may not go right with my mindset. It may not go right with, what I think is right in my head, but be willing to listen to that. Right? Being authentic. How can I be truly authentic in that moment when, I am being with him, and not being something that is artificial just for the moment, like, just sit there and smile. You cannot fake it. He will see through it. He know just as much as I know him, he knows me just as well. And in fact, my kids and I, we have this thing that, he says, Mom, why are you doing that? Don't do that. It's not you, So just being authentic and being your original self, you are the way you are usually with them. And being curious instead of being sort of questioning, having these open-ended, questions like, so how are you feeling about this? What have you thought you want to do? Or, what do you think that, could be done with your time? Or things like the open-ended questions is what is important, instead of saying that, hey, why don't you do something with your time, or whatever else. All of those close-ended, or those orders, or those contemptuous things that put them, on the back foot, or put them on the defense immediately. Being curious in a manner, asking curiously, oh, but how and why? And almost waiting as in wonder, like as a coach, one has been trained to do that. And I was not doing this with my own son. I'm doing this with my clients, but not with my own son. So just being curious with an open mind, and, being willing to listen to whatever he has to say. And listening without judgment and without any interpretations, or without any thought in my head that, oh, no, well, he said that. So kids, however you may think that kids or partners or any of your, your relationships, your contacts, whoever they may be, they all would know, that you are thinking even before they have finished speaking. Very often my husband will be saying something and I'll start saying something for him, or I'll be saying something and he'll start saying, one minute, let me. I said, let me finish speaking. Let me finish my thought, then you speak. So letting them speak without that sense of judgment, letting them feel and believe that you're there for them, come what may. Knowing also that their paradigm is different. And however much they may be from the same family, my sisters are different from me, my parents are different from me, my husband's different, my kids are different, friends are different, everyone is different, each of you are different, and yet we are all connected. Yet we have the same energy within us. And so therefore, connection is important. And how can you make that connection, come what may? And finally, is respecting your and their boundaries. So even in that conversation, while you're getting into that, you've got up the courage, you're sitting there smiling, wanting to make this work because you love this person so much. Even then, there has to be respect for the boundary, what their boundaries and your own as well. Just being mindful of that. And as long as you do these basic things, I think presence is definitely something that is there for you in that relationship. Any questions at this point that are coming? Anything? I'm sorry, I can't see the chat box, so because I have this on. So
there are no questions at this point of time, Priya.
Okay, lovely.
a lot of comments.
Okay, great. Okay, so moving on, I'd like us to now do a little quick exercise. So just let's explore what are the different types of relationships that we encounter in life that you all experience. Would you want to put in the chat box? Close, mainly close relationships, I'd say. Let's talk about because we're talking about presence with our intimate relationships here. I like Pawan says parent, friend, foe, partner, son, brother, uncle. Yes. So many different types of relationships that we have, right? Family, friends, and acquaintances. Loving, not so loving. True. Relationship to oneself. So true. So true, Elsa. Beautiful. Yes. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's just look at, can you think of your loved one, any one of your loved ones, where there could be room for improvement in your relationship with them? I don't want you to put it in the chat box because this is personal, but think about that person right now. And on a scale of 1 to 5, can I ask you, how present are you with them? Meru says, depends on the time of day. Interesting, Meru. 2, 3. Lovely. Okay, great. And what would you rather it be? Oh, Vivek. Yeah. Sharon, depends on the person too. Yes, but you have only your part to play, my dear. Ajay Tiwari says 4.99. Interesting. Lovely, lovely. Thank you. Okay. My last question here. What is the one thing you can commit to doing to bring change into your relationship starting today by being more present to them? Listen, beautiful. Listen. And listen how. I'd like, any one of you who volunteers to come up and, have a quick talk about this. I'm happy. Empty cup, lovely. Non-reactive, non-judgmental, passionate. Listen like a coach, yes. Yeah, very true. Thank you very much. These are lovely, lovely feedbacks that are coming in. Showing compassion, yes, just being there, being in the flow. This whole thing of being in the flow, this energy flow, there's this beautiful thing this concept that I love, that we all have the same energy that flows in all of us. And we are like electricity. What we use with our energy is finally what becomes of us, right? How we show up. How we show up is up to us. And like what I said, Sharon, what others do is immaterial. What we do is what's important. That's the only thing we can control. And what I do is what's important. When I turn around and look at myself, so this is something that I love doing, and how I bring in presence usually, not only in this incident here with my son, but just turning around and looking at myself is what was so apparent to me. That, hey, how are you landing? How are you being with this boy, this person whom you trusted so much and loved so much, unconditionally loved? In fact, I was so disturbed by this whole thing. I'd actually, gone to a coach my coach would, and taken this up as a subject to discuss. And this came up as a solution for me, that the point is this, that he will do what he has to do because he knows what's best, because that was my role of being the mother. I've done that role. I cannot keep mothering him. I cannot overparent him. And I cannot be this helicopter mom worrying, what's he doing? 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 No, I've done it. I've done what I had to do. And he's a capable boy. He'll do what he has to do next. And I'm so sure he's going to do wonderfully and make us all, the whole country, very, very proud. He wants to be a filmmaker. So one day he will be. I'm so certain of that. Okay, so I'm done. There's a video link that I have. It's a beautiful video. I'm going to put in the chat box, and after which I'm done for questions. So if any of you want, you can, this is a video of Eckhart Tolle. You can have a look at it. It's beautiful, the way he explains presence. I'm ready for questions. I'd like to open it for questions because I'm mindful of the time as well. Anandita?
Just waiting questions from the group. Ashok is requesting for sharing the link.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah.
The link is up there.
So, Meru, the beauty of this beautiful son of mine is this, that I talked to him about that I'm going to be going into a webinar and I'm going to be talking about presence. And I wanted to share this particular experience that I've had with you, and how our relationship felt strained. And he says, yeah, sure, Mom. Whatever's mine is yours. Go for it. So absolutely. Like I said, he's an amazing boy. Okay, so I'm going to ask, if we don't have any instant questions here, we could, have somebody who's willing to volunteer to come and talk about maybe this story. Wonderful question there, Shripad. I see. He says, can you tell us what makes you so present when you are narrating the story? I think what made me present was just the fact that, like I said, Shripad, this whole thing, we're all work in progress, my dear. And I am a big one for that I believe that, this learning continuously. I'm not some great one, but yeah, my constant effort is to try and be connected with the energy, and literally through the internet right now, through Zoom, we are all connected. Coaches for You has facilitated this, and I wanted to make certain that whatever I experienced gets shared, and gets shared without any hitches. I'm hoping that you were able to see what I went through and how I was able to, come out of it.
There's an interesting question from Pavan, Priya, and how can we draw the line between a parent and a coach?
So I think as a parent, you are not a coach in the first place. You are a parent. Your child needs you as a parent, and that role is something you should not at all trade for anything else. But yes, there are some skills of a coach that you can bring into parenting, especially when the times are slightly tougher, when there's when there's a stressful moment like the way I had. So in times like that, maybe you can, bring in some coaching elements, which would be, just open-ended questioning, or, listening mindfully, and not, listening without, interruption, listening without judgment and all of that. But I don't think you should stop ever being parent. Parent is something your child loves you. The moment, in fact, I try to ask questions to my children as a coach, they'll say, stop being a coach. So I'm the mother with them, and absolutely the mother. But I think what was required for me, Shripad, was That I think in that time when I was going through what I was going through, the coaching aspect of it, the values of coaching, made me realize where I was going wrong. It was not him. He was just making do with his time. He was doing whatever he had to do, you know. I was wanting to have all kinds of this perfect and, you know, this ideal child scenario. It's nonsense. We have to let our kids be and let them believe that they know what's best for them, you know. Give them some ideas, maybe some suggestions, but beyond that, it's their life. And he's not a baby no more. He's good. Yes, Tamzeed Ahmed has raised his hand.
And there's a question from Vijay after we take Tamzeed's question.
Tamzeed, go ahead.
Okay,
So
thank
you,
you.
Tamzeed.
Unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I'm audible. Am
Yeah.
I audible?
Yes,
okay.
You are.
Okay, I have one query to you. I'm sure maybe you have faced this situation where you want to coach someone, observing or keeping in mind that might help him, but he is not willing to receive your feedback. So in that situation, even for a person who is not a coach but who wants to help his dear or near ones, but the person is reactive to receive that, how would you what is your advice, and you personally what you would do to that person if you have similar situation?
So Tamzeed, thank you for your question. It's a wonderful question. I think what's really important is to just, like this whole session is called being present, right? So just being there for the person unconditionally. Sometimes if they don't want to talk, they don't want to listen, they want to do it their way, just be there for them. You know, just make them know this, that, you know, I'm there for you. Whatever happens, don't worry, we'll come through this together. You know, I'm there for you. And this whole thing, my mother used to say this to my little baby when, you know, she was a little infant. Mehuna, you know, that whole statement that says that I'm there. Don't worry. I'm there. You know, whatever happens, I'm there. As long as in your mind you have that clear, and you don't have to worry anything beyond that. You're not worrying about, oh, he should be doing this or she should be doing that. If he does this, she does that, then that will happen, and then that will be, he doesn't see the sense. You're thinking, doing the work for them. Aren't you, Tamzeed? Because you're thinking all this for them.
Thank you very much. With your answer, I understand that I need to be positive, and if anybody is positive, that is the best thing. That is the least thing that one can do, being positive and willing to help someone who needs help, even though he wants or not. But showing positiveness towards him, towards his success. Maybe one day he will realize, but showing positiveness at least is the least we can do.
Yeah. And even if they don't realize, and even if they don't, you can only do, Tamzeed, what you can do. And your doing is your just beingness there. That means I am being here for you. If this is you, this is me. I'm there with you wherever you go. I'm in it with you. Whatever happens to you, I love you nevertheless. This is very important. Right?
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Next.
There is an interesting question, Priya. How does one show
Yeah.
up with presence when the relationship is so strained? Is it too late to be present?
If the relationship is strained, I believe, whose question is that?
How
Sorry.
does one show up with presence?
Whose question is that?
This is a question which has come in from Vijay.
I see. Okay, Vijay, so I really feel that the fact that somebody is strained in front of me is because I too am strained in some ways. The world is nothing but a reflection of who I am. It's because what I am here on the outside and on the inside is getting shown in the world around me. So if I want that strain to go, I need to remove strain from me. How am I being strainful? What in me is strained? What in me? So for example, if Vijay, if I have a relationship with you and if there's discomfort with you, How am I appearing when I come to talk to you? Am I got, my brows are together like this? Or am I like, looking like this? Or am I arriving at like, yeah, okay. How am I arriving? Observing. So this whole concept of turning around and looking at yourself. How are you acting in that situation? Is this something that you need to correct as well? Right? Anything else, Ananta?
Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Priya. I don't see any more questions, and we are at 5:52. Viji's question continues saying that, can one be enough to unstrain it? It takes two to create a strain, and my question is, can one be enough to unstrain it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The strain was there between Ronak and me. I created it. But we both got strained. We both got entangled into this situation. I changed myself, my approach to him, and automatically he changed. And we were together. It's really, it all begins with you. There's nothing else you can control. It's you. If you sort your mind, your space, your emotions, your energy, the person ahead of you, in front of you, is bound to see it.
Very well put in there, Priya. And
also,
if no other questions from the group today,
there's also
I'm
something
waiting to see on chat.
Yeah. Also, only I.
That's the one that I put in, saying that I can change or adapt. So, yeah.
Yes, that's so
and,
true.
There are multiple comments.
The lockdown has been a blessing in disguise for many, and these whole realizations, that the way we arrive in front of people is so true, that we think that we're doing our best. Why didn't he do this? I did this for him. This is the way he is always. This whole chatter, this whole talk that we have with ourselves. Aisa hi hota hai. I am like this. This always happens to me. All of these things, this victim or this whole, the situation of this self-pity and this doubt or this me not being enough is all in our own minds, in this space. Literally set it free. Let it flow. There's this beautiful energy that we are here to utilize. Utilize it well. Don't waste it in all of this chatter. It's just of no use. It's taking you or anybody whom you love nowhere.
Thank you, Priya, for this webinar today. And I think it's been very meaningful and added a lot of introspection into our lives.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to the whole group for your presence. And thank you for all of your energies in making this session a success today. And as all of you are aware, you could avail coaching from one of our coaches at CFY for absolutely no cost at all. And request for you to take up on this opportunity. And if you're wondering, how do I do this? This is through our CFY website, where you can request for a one-on-one coaching. And thank you all for your time today. Thank you for being here. And Priya, we cannot thank you enough for all that you have done for us today. And thank you
so much. It's been such a privilege. God bless you all. Stay healthy, stay safe, and keep loving unconditionally. Just stay present to all the relationships that you're blessed with. You have no idea how valuable each of them are. God bless.